Hey guys, Jeremy Beeland here, and in this video, I'm going to talk about what steps I like to do on setting up a seller appointment. If you don't know who I am an expert acquiring off-market properties direct from sellers, and I've made nearly 8 figures gross profit since I've been doing this, since 2017 in multiple markets. So I got some notes here today, guys, I want to go over with you, and this is about setting up the appointment. Now, my goal here, okay, is to have you guys set up appointments for more success. Or one of the biggest challenges we come across when setting up appointments is objections that we're going to arrive at the appointment, sellers ghosting us and not showing up to appointments, and cancellations as a result of not setting up firm expectations and getting ahead of objections and things of that nature. So these little ninja techniques I have found to be very successful in our businesses with our guys, and have allowed us to have a lot less cancellations and acquire more deals, which means more money, right? So this is something I want you guys to start implementing into your business today. Now, this doesn't work for the virtual model if you're going to do wholesaling virtually or acquire off-market properties virtually. This is for a belly-to-belly appointment, which is the business model that we run in our local companies. Obviously, we teach, sales techniques with our coaching program with regards to virtual, but when it comes to our business models, we love belly-to-belly appointments. We love being the local home buyer and just dominate the local home buyer method of acquiring off-market deals. So, couple things that I want you to do. So when you're working on belly appointments, right, you're going to set up an appointment over the phone. So you're going to have some kind of lead generator, whether it's going to be mailing, texting, cold calling, radio ads, TV ads, PPC, SEO, social media, whatever the case is, you're going to get a seller on the phone. And there's a couple things that I want you to do that help you get ahead of something came up objection, right? So this is what we're going to try to prevent. So you set up an appointment and somebody goes, sorry, I can't make the appointment, something came up. We want to eliminate that objection, okay? We want to get the seller feeling like they know you better prior to you showing up. And again, this is going to allow you guys to have less cancellations, less ghosting, essentially more deals as a result of it. So when you're on the phone with the seller, there's a couple things that we want you to do as far as getting ahead of objections. And one of them is being able to make sure that they're willing to move forward that day, willing to make sure that with the contract, make sure that they're willing to show up that day for the appointment, and make sure that we have all the decision makers there to move forward with the deal. So when you're on the phone with the seller, when setting up an appointment, I want you to ask these questions. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, are there any other decision makers that are needed to be deciding on the process here, right? Like, are there any other decision makers in the process? Is there anybody else who has to make a decision on the property? Okay, you can say it in a bunch of different ways. Obviously, I'm fumbling my words a little bit, but Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is there anybody else that needs to be involved in the decision-making process of selling this property? If there are, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I would like to make sure that that other person or other people are there at the appointment. It's my experience that when we're all together at the same time, we can make sure that this is a decision that everybody feels unified with and wants to move forward with, that we feel like this is a fit for everybody. Because what happens is, if not everybody's there, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you're going to relay some information to them. They're going to have some questions. They're going to have some comments, and they're going to have some concerns. But it would be a lot easier if we're all just there talking together to make sure we're on the same page. Because if we're not a fit for each other, great, we're not a fit for each other. But if we are, it'd be better if everybody could make that decision together to make sure that they feel comfortable that all their decisions and concerns were made. Or answered, right? And they want to make sure that they feel confident in the decision to move forward. So we want to make sure all decision makers are there. Very, very important, okay? And that will eliminate the objection of, hey, I want to move forward with this deal, but I have to ask so-and-so. We never want to do that. Now, there's going to be times when the other decision makers can't be present in person. Well, then you need to get them on the phone. You can FaceTime, you can Zoom, whatever it takes. Just make sure that everybody's present. You really want to have a conversation. Everybody really needs to address the concerns they have. You need to be able to address all the concerns of the different people making decisions, answer all the questions. And it's a lot like the game of telephone, right? I don't know if you remember telephone when you were a little kid. You guys all sit in a little circle. Somebody whispers the word into somebody's ear, and by the time it goes all the way around the room, the word is completely different. Well, that's what's going to happen here if you're relaying information to the seller and he's talking to the other decision makers. He's not maliciously trying to give misinformation, but he's just trying to remember it all, and he's going to get it wrong, and it's going to hurt you. So you need to make sure you have all decision makers present some way, whether it's virtually or in person, and make sure that everybody's hearing the same information and everybody is making a decision off of the same information, not hearsay or information given from a third party. The other thing is, this is really important to prevent the objection of, well, I need to think about it, right? So now you're at the point you got a deal, and if you've been in this situation before, what happens is sometimes they're like, well, I like the deal, but I need to think about it, right? All right, so this is a little way to get ahead of that objection, so when they say that, you can bring this up. All right, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm looking forward to our appointment. So with that being said, when I come out to your appointment, and if we're able to agree on terms that you find favorable, are you willing to move forward that day? Zip it and listen, right? If they say, no, I'm not willing to move forward that day, I'm going to need time to think about it, or, I need to make sure that I talk to other decision makers, right? You'll have some idea what's going on. Maybe they're shopping it around to how the wholesale is. But a lot of times they're going to be saying, yeah, if we're able to agree on terms that I find favorable, I'm ready to move forward that day. So now, fast forward to the appointment, you're there and you guys agree on terms and everything's great. And the seller goes, I need to think about it. Well, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, the other day when we talked on the phone, you said if we found terms that you found favorable, you'd be willing to move forward today. What has changed? Is it the terms? Is it that you don't like me? What is it? Right? You'll be able to pull that out of them. A lot of times, it's usually just the terms of the money, and they're afraid to tell you. Sometimes they just may be afraid to pull the trigger. Right? They thought they could move forward, but now they can't. So, we teach in our coaching program some other objection, how to overcome those situations. I'll share more of that in different videos, not in this one. But Mr. and Mrs. Seller, at our appointment, if we're able to come to agreement on terms that you find favorable, are you willing to sign a contract and move forward that day? Easy enough, right? All right, the third one. Now you've done those two other questions. You know what decision makers are going to be there. They're willing to move forward that day. You have set up an appointment. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, do you foresee any reason why you would not be able to keep or have to reschedule our appointment on X day? Do you see any reason why something may change? We want to ask this so they don't come back to us and say, oh, I'm sorry, so I got held up at work or something changed or my blah, 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 blah. They're going to have all these excuses. That's what's going to happen. So we're getting ahead of that objection. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm really looking forward to meeting you at your appointment and seeing you that day. Do you foresee any reason why our appointment would be canceled or change? Zip it and just listen. All right, get ahead of that objection. A lot of times they're just going to be, no, that day and time works perfect. Okay, great. So you don't see any reason why, well, if I drive out there on, Saturday to meet you at 2:00 in the afternoon, there's no reason why you foresee this thing changing? Nope. Okay, great. That will keep them more accountable for keeping the appointment because they've already told you that that day and time works. So now they're going to feel like an idiot if they have to come back and be like, I know I told you the day and time worked, but it doesn't, they're not, because a lot of people are afraid to have that phone call. All right. A couple things I like to do and have our team do when they get off the phone with the seller is I like them to take their phone, I'm going to use my notebook here, and send a video text. All right. Now you just talked to them on the phone. You went through your incoming call script. You set up the appointment. You know they're going to move forward that day if they have the, you guys agree to the terms that they find favorable. You understand who's going to be for the decision makers there. You're good to go. You're all set. You set up appointment Saturday at 2, and let's just say it's Thursday afternoon. Send them a video text. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, Jeremy here, the home buyer. Really looking forward to seeing you on Saturday at 2 o'clock. I appreciate your time today on the phone. I just wanted you to have a face to the name so I didn't look like a stranger when I see you on Tuesday or Saturday. See you then. And then just send it along. Now they've seen your face. You sent them just a little greeting, thanking them for the phone call. Now they've seen you talk to you. They've heard your voice a second time. Now seeing you face, right? Now, Saturday morning, I want you to do this. Now, I should say I don't want you to do this. A lot of people will call and confirm with the seller if the appointment time still works. Don't do that. A lot of times, if you give a seller a reason to get out, they're going to get out. The reason why people get in these distress situations is because they don't make right choices and they're not held accountable to do the right thing. So a lot of times, if you give them an out, they're going to take the out and run, and they're going to keep going into this habitual procrastination of falling into distress and not getting out of this situation. So do not say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm just calling to confirm our appointment Saturday or today at 2 o'clock. Are you good to go? Don't do that. Send the video text after you set up the appointment. And then I want you to send another video text that morning. Hey, good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Really looking forward to seeing you guys Saturday at 2 o'clock. I will be there. Can't wait to see you. And have a great day. Or something like that, right? Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, Jeremy, the home buyer here. Really looking forward to our appointment at 2 o'clock today. I'll see you later this afternoon. Bye. That's it. So what's cool about this is now at this point, they've talked to you on the phone. They've gotten 2 video texts from you, right? So they've talked to you or heard your voice 3 times. In my case, my bad Boston accent 3 times. And now they've seen your face twice. So you never called to confirm the appointment or confirm it with them, but you basically told them you're going to be there Saturday at 2 twice. You've already, when they were on the phone, said, is there any reason why this wouldn't work? They said no. And then you said, I can't wait to look, I look forward to seeing you. And then the morning of, rather than confirming, you said, I'm going to be there at 2 o'clock. So now they know you're going to be there. They can't get out of it. You've not given them any excuses to back out of this appointment, right? They're going to be there. You got to hold your sellers accountable. You have to do this. You do it politely, respectfully, but these are the ninja techniques that will get these habitual procrastinators and distress sellers to move forward and get out of these bad life decisions and bad life situations and get them into better situations. You are helping them here, okay? So now you show up to the door and they have now seen you for the 3rd time. You're not like, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, nice to meet you. And they're like, I don't recognize this guy from a hole in the wall. No, they've seen you for the 3rd time. And now they're already starting to feel familiar to you. You're starting to feel familiar to them. And when you feel familiar to them, it lets their guard down a little bit. They feel like they get to know you a little bit. They're willing to open up a little bit more on the seller appointment. A little bit more transparency, a little bit more honesty, right? They can let their guard down to tell you a little bit more about what distress situations they're going through so you can provide a better solution for their problem. At the end of the day, you have to all be very transparent, open, and honest and build this great relationship of conversation. And if one person is like completely guarded because they don't know you from a hole in the wall, that's going to be really tough to achieve. But if they feel like they start to get to know you even before, by the time you show up at the door for the first time, well, that's going to, oh, I've seen this guy a few times. It's like a subconscious way of letting their guard down because they feel familiar to you or you feel familiar to them. So it's a great ninja technique that has provided a lot of value for us in our business. So those are some techniques that you should start implementing into your wholesaling off-market acquisition business right away, right? So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, are there any other decision makers? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is there, if we come to agreement on terms that you find favorable, are you willing to move forward and sign a contract that day? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, at our appointment on X day at X time, do you foresee any reason why you won't be able to keep that appointment or anything that would change that appointment would not happen. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Had such a great time talking to you on the phone and hearing a little bit about your story. Really look forward to seeing you at our appointment in a couple days. Hey, good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Really looking forward to seeing you on our appointment today at X time. That's it. That's all you got to do, guys. Super simple, but be very consistent with it. It will be a game changer in your business. It will allow you to have less people ghosting you on appointments, less cancellation of appointments, and you'll get more deals, and you'll get ahead of some of those tough objections where you may get stumped when you're on the appointment. Hope you guys find great value in that. All right. Well, if you're facing challenges acquiring off-market properties, wholesaling, increasing profits per deal, well, I think I have a solution for you guys. Well, I don't want to pressure you into clicking the first link in the description. There is a video there that will explain how we can help address these issues for you. I want to be transparent, though, and let you know that this is a sales funnel designed to offer you something. And however, my main goal here is to provide value through this video. Pretty sure you guys found a lot of value in it. I hope you did. If you found value in it, then I would appreciate it if you could give it a like. This will help YouTube's algorithm to recommend more videos like this for you and assist other people on their journey as well. Please like this video. Really would appreciate that. If you have any questions, just feel free to leave a comment. I'll make sure I get to your questions, answer anything I can, maybe even do a video on it. How does that sound? And listen, if you guys could do me a lot of, show me a lot of love and value to me, if you found this video valuable, please subscribe to support to this channel. That would really, really mean a lot to me. See you guys.